You are now listening to AB on the Unpopular Opinion Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy AB, and you are now listening to the Unpopular Opinion Sports Podcast. I'm your host, AB. I got my boy Pap with me. We ready for another episode. Let's go ahead and get into it. Pap, what's up, Way?
What's good?
Yes, sir. So today we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors and the Celtics. They going head-to-head. It's 3-3 right now, tie series. So we're going to give y'all overall synopsis of what we've seen in the entire series, and then we're going to talk about the Game 7 game upcoming and who we have, and Game 6, which just ended last night. So let's go ahead and get into it. Yes, sir. So, Raptors and the Celtics has been a great series so far. I don't think nobody can dispute that. Celtics jumped out on them 2-0 early, and then Toronto kind of bounced back, winning 2 games after that. Tell me what you thought about the Celtics in those first 2 games, because early on people were saying that the Raptors didn't have a chance, and they thought it was going to be maybe like a gentleman's sweep. So tell me what you thought about those first 2 games and how the Celtics were playing those first 2 games.
It did look like it was going to be a runaway. The Celtics' big names were all performing well. Kemba was doing well. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they were getting great performances from Marcus Smart, Dane Tice. Like, everybody was just playing well. Toronto was struggling. Pascal Siakam has been playing terribly in the playoffs. And it just has not been stopping. But one good thing is that he showed his confidence in that Game 6. He hit a big shot late. Even though he'd been playing terribly the whole game and terribly throughout the playoffs, he's still willing to take those big shots needed to elevate the team. So shout out to him for that.
Yep.
But like I said, I just don't feel like I feel like they bounced back wonderfully. They responded excellent. That's why Nick Nurse is in the position he is, man.
Yeah.
They've just OG Anunoby hit a great shot to kind of like even give them a shot at being, because after they had won those first 2.
Yeah, the Celtics won those first 2, and then Toronto had to bounce back. He hit that game winner. OG hit that game winner, which basically I would say saved their season, you know, in a way, because it was looking ugly because the Celtics weren't beating them. They weren't just beating them. They were beating them commandingly. You know what I mean? Like, hanging their hat on the defensive end, which we know that both of these teams are great defensive teams. They both ranked top 10 in defense during the season. So when you put those 2 teams together, and then Boston's a top 5 offense, and Toronto has a pretty good offense as well, even without Kawhi Leonard, you just seeing a lot of things happen for the Celtics early on, and Toronto bouncing back. I think that Game 3 game gave them a little confidence. Not that they weren't confident, because Nick Nurse keeps his guys up, keep them going. And then they bounce back, win 2 more, tie it. Boston kind of gets a big win, Game 5, and then Game 6, like we just saw last night. Tell me what you dive deeper into Game 6 for me, and tell me what you thought about the Game 6 performance between Toronto and Celtics.
So in every game that Boston has won, aside from Game 2, it's been a walk-off win. So it looks like Boston is struggling. From what I saw last night, Boston struggles when it comes to closing games out.
That's a good point.
And Kemba's inability to score last night really affected them. The guy had 5 points and played over 50 minutes in a double overtime game, shot 2 for 11, 1 for 6.
Real disappointing.
You can't have that from your point guard, your leader. You know what I'm saying? Jason Tatum's definitely their number 1. I've been saying that for a while. But, Kemba, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, all of those guys are falling in. But when you have, one of your top guys like that, you can't have him playing like that.
Yeah.
So unless Game 7, like I said, unless Boston kind of gets a comfortable lead here in the end, I'm kind of worried, because on top of the fact that the Raptors were there last year, they went to the finals and won last year. These are seasoned guys that have been there and have experienced this. So when it comes to that helps you a lot better in closing out games as well.
Yeah, exactly. And if the Celtics lose the series, it's gonna look bad on Brad Stevens. It's gonna look really bad, because we're like, I think Brad Stevens is getting outcoached already, but it's going to look really bad if they lose the series. Just the fact that they jumped out on them 2-0, they made some adjustments. I'll say this, man. Watching that game last night, they ran a lot of zone, both teams. I think Boston started off in the series running their zone schemes on defense, which you don't see a lot of times in the NBA. But I think more teams are going to start incorporating that into their defensive schemes, which would more so you would see in the college game. Now in the NBA, where guys are smaller, the tallest guy out there sometimes is 6'8", 6'9". You got a lot of fast guys. You're going to have to run more zone concepts just to guard the three-point line. You know what I mean? And then since a post play isn't as vital as it used to be, a lot of teams don't play inside out, which is how you beat the zone, penetration kick or inside out. Because a lot of teams aren't going to be able to do that because the post play is basically non-existent. You're gonna start seeing a lot more zone. Tell me what you thought about that, like on the defensive side.
A lot of teams have actually been coming playing zone in this playoffs here, and like you said, it raises eyebrows because in the NBA that's not what you're used to. You don't see a lot of zone ran in the NBA, any zone ran at all.
Right.
But it's being ran and it's being ran effectively at the rate that it's ran. And that's what's kind of crazy. I mean, the NBA is changing, like you said, a lot more teams going towards the small ball. Not quite as small as the Rockets, but, you know, the small ball's effective, man, and it's working if you have the right pieces to run that.
I mean, they had OG playing at the 5. Nick Nurse had OG. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Abanobi. I don't know, but sorry, I'll butcher a name in a minute. You know that. OG. He hit the game winner in game 3, and then he played big minutes for them in game 6, man. Like playing the 5 position, having to guard Theis, you know, down inside, which he's a strong dude, you know, 6'10". He got some hops on him. Not a bad player. I like his game.
He's kind of like a Birdman.
Yeah, kind of is. Yeah.
The way that he plays and the energy that he brings to the team.
Right. So, and he got good hands too. You know, when Kemba, even though he didn't shoot well last night, he did get some playmaking plays where he was dumping it inside or throwing some good passes to him inside. So. And he did hit that big shot in overtime, or a shot in overtime. He didn't hit a big shot, but it was a nice shot though. I gotta give Kemba some credit. I'm gonna defend Kemba. In North Carolina, I gotta defend Kemba, man, because but he did play bad. I'm sorry, Kemba. Like I can only do so much.
How about this though?
Okay, go ahead.
You're gonna defend Kemba.
Okay.
But late game situation, the fourth quarter. First overtime and second overtime. They were picking on Kemba.
And he had the ball late in the game, which I didn't like that. And Brad Stevens, when it was tied in regulation, you got to go to Tatum or Brown in that situation. I mean, they had the hot hand. Brown had 31 and 16. Tatum had 29, 14 and 9. Like, you give it to those guys in that situation. When Kemba drove, I don't know if you remember this play, he drove to the lane. He went up for the layup. He thought he got fouled. They got the rebound, and Toronto called timeout with like 2 seconds left. But I would have rather Brown or Tatum be in that situation in regulation. I thought they would have ended that game.
He did get fouled. Kemba got fouled in his defense. But this series looks like a bunch of bad coaching going on in late situations, too, because Nick Nurse, the play that Nick Nurse drew up in that first overtime, when you got Norman Powell being guarded by Kemba Walker, there's a size disadvantage. You attack him.
Yeah.
Why is that man standing at the 3-point line for a step back three as time expires? That's a terrible play that you called a timeout to draw up.
Yeah.
Terrible coaching. Yeah. Nick Nurse is also a cheater because he stood on that baseline and forced Jason Tatum that errant pass. First of all, there should have been a technical foul. There's no reason that a coach should be that close to the floor in any situation. You can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that in the NBA. You can't.
He was in the corner. He was out of bounds. He wasn't in the.
His toes were touching the line.
But I'm saying he was out of bounds. So in that situation, you do what you got to do to win. You gotta. Now that's not a cheating play. That's just a smart play. You know that Theis is standing there in the corner too. There's only but so many white guys on the court. Let's be real. Let's be real. So, not Nick Nurse.
No, I'm saying.
Theis.
Daniel Theis.
Right. He was the only white guy probably on the court at that time. So, you know, sometimes in your peripherals, you just see a color and you just dump it off. You know what I'm saying? That's not a racist comment. That's just facts.
He had on a gray shirt.
So, yeah. So, you know, you can kind of mesh in there. So, it's a smart, heady play. Because I was like, who is Tatum passing to? I didn't know what was going on. But you're right. You know, he did stand in that corner. That was just a wise play. And that was smart because it was tied game. It was tied at that time. And, it was 45 seconds after that turnover. And then Tatum had another bad turnover, too.
Where he got picked. Got stolen.
Yeah, so, that didn't look good on Tatum, man. Like, he had some real bad plays. Like you said, Kemba played bad. 52 minutes, 5 points. Marcus Smart. I got to give a shout out to Marcus Smart. My goodness. Marcus Smart made so many heady plays, and I was a big fan of Marcus Smart when we drafted Julius Randle for the Lakers. Obviously he didn't come in as like he's not a superstar by any means or a star by any means, but he's a star in his role. This is the second time I think he's won all defense first team. He takes a lot of charges. He does a lot of flopping, but he's gotten really good at the 3-ball now. He's really dependable on his 3-point shot, and he can create a little bit.
Terrible shooter.
Yeah, he was really bad. So shout out to Marcus Smart, improving his game. He had a triple-double, 23, 10, and 11. He wasn't even this good of a playmaker before, but he's really improved as a player. So I got to give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, he started just as a defensive guy.
Siakam, man. Let's talk about Siakam real quick, and then let's talk about Game 7. Going into Game 7, who you project for Game 7. Siakam, what did you think from him? He's the main guy now. He's taking over kind of that role for Kawhi. Tell me what you think about his play.
Pascal Siakam's got to play better if they want to win. He's had his games. He hasn't played horribly, but he has played terribly to his standards for what we're used to him doing, especially this year. Like you said, with Kawhi Leonard leaving, he was the next man up, stepping into this lead role, and Kyle Lowry has really had to play that lead role a little more.
Yeah.
Because, his shooting, he's shooting like 40%, under 40%, under maybe around 33-ish, 35 for the series. It's really
bad, yeah. He's not an excellent 3-point shooter anyway, but he's taking a lot of threes. His mid-range is working for him. Before last game, he was 16 of 32 from mid-range. And then, going to the rim was kind of lower than standard, but he's only made before last night, he made 2 of 18 from the 3-point line. So it's not good for him. But they're doing a good job of containing him. How they guarding him, and I think the Celtics match up well on him because they have a lot of tall, long guys. Brown and Tatum are pretty good defenders in their own right. And so, and then you got Theis, on the backside who can block shots for you.
And Cantor is no slouch down low either.
Right. So when he does get his minutes, Cantor hasn't been playing a lot, but when he does get his minutes, he does his thing inside. But Siakam's just having a lot of issues, I think, because of how their size. He's usually faster than guys his height, or he's usually stronger than guys, his height. But these guys match up really well with him as far as on defense, and they make him work on the defensive end because both of them are going to attack you. So Norman Powell played decent. He had 23. Van Vliet 21, 9, 7. Kyle Lowry played huge. He had 33, 8, and 6.
And 6 3-pointers made.
Played real big down the stretch too. He made some really smart plays. He's always, gonna keep you in the game. Serge Ibaka came in and hit 2 straight threes when they were struggling. Because it was looking bad in the second quarter. He came in and kind of kept them afloat. So
Serge Ibaka's shooting in the playoffs this year has been amazing. Yeah, his shooting from deep, his just field goal percentage in general, he's definitely been a big boost to them throughout this series. He's a big reason of why they're still in this series too, man.
Yeah, and I think maybe they might have to give him some more minutes. If he can stay active on the boards, which he only had 3 rebounds the last game, but if he can stay active on the boards, that'll definitely be useful for him. So give me your projections for Game 7 real quick as we wrap up. Give me your projections for Game 7. Who you got going to face the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals?
The way it's been looking, man. Okay, so I put it this way.
I know what you want to say.
The way it's looking, I'm going to go Raptors. But the way the series has been going calls to go Celtics. I'm a Duke boy. So I'm going Celtics.
Okay, all right.
I'm putting my faith in Jay Tatum.
All right, so we might need to put a bet on this one because I'm going with the Raptors. I'm going with the GOAT coach, Nick Nurse.
Is terrible.
I'm going with the GOAT coach. So what we gonna do, man? Next show, you gotta take a shot. If I win, I gotta take a shot of. You gotta take a shot of milk and Crown Royal together. So that's what you gotta do. It'll be a little shot, but So what, I gotta do the same?
No.
Come on,
Yeah,
what we doing?
Yeah, you gotta do the same.
Okay, all right, bet.
So what we're gonna do? It's not gonna be no little shot of Crown. I'm gonna bring shot glasses.
Okay.
It's gonna be a shot of Crown and a shot of milk.
Okay, shot of Crown and a shot of milk.
You gotta shoot the Crown and shoot the milk.
All right, you do the same thing, bet.
Yep.
All right, let's go. I'm going with the Raptors, so make sure y'all check that out, cause we really gonna do this next episode if it happens. But I know my boys gonna come through. I know my boys gonna come through for me. I know they is.
I need you. I'm lactose.
So I'm gonna go Toronto facing the Heat. In the Eastern Conference Finals. I do like I think the Celtics Heat matchup will be more entertaining, but I'm gonna go with the Raptors. So thank y'all for tuning in to this episode, man. Make sure y'all subscribe. Say that 3 times fast. Like this video. Make sure y'all support, man. Cash App, PayPal is in the description below. It should be in the video. Y'all see that pop up. And yeah, man, make sure y'all tune in for the next episode. We really are hyped. We gonna keep this going for y'all. Yeah, just check us out on Instagram at Unpopular Opinion. That's a 1 for the L. We in Vibe City Studios, and we are out of here.